The mid-14th century was a transformative period for the early Ottoman state, and the events surrounding the Byzantine Civil War presented both challenges and unprecedented opportunities. In 1341, the death of the Roman emperor triggered a succession crisis that would reshape the balance of power in Anatolia and the surrounding regions. The emperor's 9-year-old son, John V, ascended the throne, too young to exercise authority independently. As a child ruler, John V relied heavily on his mother, the Queen Mother, who acted as his guardian and regent. While she sought to protect the interests of the empire, she soon faced the growing ambitions of one of the most powerful generals in Byzantine history, Cantacuzene. Cantacuzene, a seasoned and influential military leader, demanded recognition as co-emperor, threatening civil war if his claims were ignored. His rebellion set the stage for an internal conflict that would last 6 years and ultimately weaken the Byzantine Empire significantly. Recognizing the potential strategic advantage, Cantacuzene sought assistance from the Ottomans, particularly Sultan Orhan, who had by then established a strong foothold in Anatolia following his father Osman's legacy. As part of the alliance, Cantacuzene offered a significant incentive, the marriage of his daughter to Sultan Orhan. This agreement was more than a political arrangement. It symbolized a historic union between the rising Ottoman power and the fragmented Byzantine state. Orhan's acceptance of the offer marked a turning point in Ottoman diplomacy and strategic expansion. By aligning with Cantacuzene, the Ottomans positioned themselves not just as a military ally, but as a key political influencer within the Byzantine sphere. Over the course of the Civil War, Ottoman troops and commanders played a decisive role in supporting Cantacuzene, ensuring his eventual recognition as co-emperor of Constantinople. The victory was more than a political triumph. It fundamentally altered the structure of Byzantine authority. By the end of the conflict, the empire had become deeply fragmented. Serbia gained independence, Bulgaria occupied much of Thrace, and Byzantine control was largely reduced to Constantinople and select coastal cities. This disintegration created a power vacuum that the Ottomans were quick to exploit, extending their influence further into European territories. The Civil War did not merely provide Ottoman forces with a strategic advantage, it also facilitated the weakening of the empire's traditional adversaries. The Karasi Turks, a significant regional rival in western Anatolia, had long challenged Ottoman expansion. However, the combined pressures of Ottoman military campaigns and the shifting alliances within the Byzantine Civil War undermined the Karasi Empire. Without strong allies to support them, the Karasi state gradually collapsed, clearing a path for Ottoman control across the western Anatolian regions. This opened a critical gateway, the Dardanelles Strait, the narrow waterway connecting Asia to Europe. The fall of the Karasi Turks positioned the Ottomans on the threshold of the European continent, a milestone that had long been envisioned since the days of Osman Gazi, the founder of the Ottoman dynasty. Once Cantacuzene had secured his position as co-emperor, Orhan leveraged this newfound alliance to extend Ottoman presence across the Dardanelles. The Sultan negotiated for a military base at Gallipoli, strategically located between Europe and Asia. This base was more than a temporary encampment. It served as a permanent foothold for Ottoman expansion into Thrace. Orhan's decision to establish a base in Gallipoli demonstrated both foresight and strategic patience. By securing a position without immediate large-scale conflict, the Ottomans ensured a smooth entry into Europe, a task that might have otherwise required years of costly battles. The establishment of the Gallipoli base also marked the first significant Ottoman military presence in Europe. Orhan entrusted his son, Suleiman, with the task of leading the army across the Dardanelles. Suleiman's deployment was not merely symbolic. It allowed the Ottomans to solidify their position in Thrace and establish multiple outposts that could be used for defense, supply, and further expansion. While the Ottoman forces initially operated under the pretext of supporting Cantacuzene, they strategically expanded their control over surrounding areas. This dual approach of military support and territorial occupation exemplified Ottoman strategy, combining diplomacy, alliance building, and calculated expansion to achieve long-term objectives. The psychological impact of this European presence on both the Byzantines and neighboring powers was profound. Roman authorities, who had previously considered the Ottomans as a minor tribal force, were confronted with the reality of a disciplined and strategically adept military. Alarm spread in Constantinople and among local governors as Ottoman influence extended west of the Bosporus. Kanakouzenos, aware of the growing Ottoman presence, attempted to limit their expansion by sending messages to Orhan, urging him to restrict operations to the agreed military base. However, Orhan, understanding the strategic value of control over eastern Thrace, refused to comply. The territories, including Gallipoli and surrounding areas, were incorporated into the Ottoman state, representing the first permanent Ottoman foothold in Europe. These areas remain integral parts of modern Turkey today, underscoring the lasting significance of Orhan's early strategic decisions. Beyond immediate territorial gains, Orhan's actions during this period established important precedents for Ottoman military and political conduct. The concept of Gaza, or Holy War, which had guided Ottoman expansion in Anatolia, was applied strategically in Europe. Ottoman forces, led by Suleiman and other commanders, carried out operations that combined the traditional ethos of Ghazi warriors with pragmatic political objectives. The dual focus on military conquest and political influence ensured that newly acquired territories were integrated effectively into the Ottoman administrative system. This approach allowed the Ottomans to maintain stability while extending their reach across culturally and politically diverse regions. The alliance with Kantakouzenos also highlighted Orhan's adeptness in using marriage and diplomacy as tools of statecraft. By securing a marital connection to the co-emperor of Constantinople, Orhan strengthened the Ottoman position within Byzantine political networks. This relationship facilitated negotiations, reduced resistance from local Byzantine authorities, and created a precedent for future Ottoman engagement in European affairs. It also reinforced the perception of the Ottoman dynasty as a rising power capable of influencing events far beyond Anatolia. The collapse of the Karasi Turks, combined with the fragmentation of Byzantine authority, created a strategic corridor that enabled the Ottomans to project power across the Dardanelles and into Thrace. Orhan's foresight in securing Gallipoli and his willingness to support Kantakouzenos's claim demonstrated an acute understanding of timing, opportunity, and long-term strategic objectives. These decisions not only facilitated the first Ottoman presence in Europe, but also set the stage for future expansion, ultimately leading to the establishment of a transcontinental empire. In conclusion, the Byzantine Civil War of 1341 to 1347 was a watershed moment for the Ottoman Empire under Sultan Orhan. By supporting Kantakouzenos, securing a strategic marriage alliance, and exploiting the weaknesses of rival powers such as the Karasi Turks, Orhan expanded Ottoman influence both politically and territorially. The establishment of Gallipoli as a military base marked the first Ottoman foothold in Europe, enabling further expansion into Thrace and beyond. Orhan's strategic use of diplomacy, military foresight, and opportunistic alliances laid the foundation for the Ottoman Empire's transformation from a regional principality into a formidable power with influence across two continents. The events of this period illustrate the combination of vision, timing, and tactical brilliance that would define the Ottoman rise for centuries to come, demonstrating how calculated strategy and political acumen can turn fleeting opportunities into enduring legacy.